What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Collective Comics and the Lights Comics Action Podcast. We are diving into episode number 19 here today.
19.
I am joined by the homie Jake.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. I mean, we just saw each other last night to see Ant-Man.
We did. We went and saw Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Ant-Man. That's what this is about. But I
was excited.
I was excited too.
Right.
I mean, you know my thoughts on Ant-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's Ant-Man. But I do want to start because last week we made this big deal about our audio listeners and then go over to YouTube and leave a comment. But then every time I uploaded the video, it got corrupted. And I don't think the video came out till like Friday.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
If you were out there looking for the YouTube video, that's what happened. Technology things.
Right.
So
it happens.
This one should go up on time.
Right.
But we're also recording later. Like usually we record on Tuesdays for the next week, but this is Sunday and this comes out in like 2 or 3 days. So
right. We have to hurry up and edit.
We'll see what happens.
We usually have quite a few days to edit, but now we gotta wrap it all up and do it really fast.
Yep.
I don't mind it. I like the pressure.
I didn't.
I'm lying.
If I said it, I'm lying. You know.
Right.
What else is up, man?
Nothing much, man. Everybody's been coming through the whatnot.
There you
which
go.
Has been really sick. You doing the streams yet? Are you up and running?
Oh,
How's the basement?
No. We started painting.
You started painting.
There's paint on the walls.
Last final steps, man.
We got a long way to go still.
You're getting there. How does it feel? You're almost there. Final stretch.
It's nice to be almost done with one room. We actually got lights up in one of the rooms that didn't have lights. We got paint on the walls in 2 of the rooms. So after we finish these 2, then we have a whole nother room to get started on. And that's, yeah.
There we go.
I was like, we're going to finish this in 3 weeks. Well, it might be 3 months, hopefully.
That's usually how it goes. I feel like that's how majority of my projects end up going.
Right.
You know, every once in a while we get to start a couple months early with an episode 0 of Lights Comics Action, and then that's a one and done type thing, you know, and then we're up and running, and then we're falling behind on Friday.
I'm not a drywall guy. No.
Have you done it before?
I mean, I've hung it. Like I've hung drywall, I've cut drywall, I've done all that. When it comes to like the mudding and the taping, I don't do that. Yeah. But this time we did it, and that took a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, I feel like TikTok probably makes it look real easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on TikTok that make that look real easy.
Yeah, when you got a professional that's been doing it for like 30 years.
Yeah,
makes it look simple.
It was crappy. It just had mud everywhere. It got to the point where I was like, it's good enough. Put paint on it.
Right. We're slapping paint on it. We're covering it up.
We made the joke. We're just like, we're going to hang something over it.
Right.
Like wherever there's a mistake, we're just going to hang a picture over it.
Just get a fish tank.
It's like, why is there a picture 3 inches off the floor? Like, don't worry about it. That's this new thing that people are trying, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to set a trend now.
It was a mess. Yeah. But
you know how people usually do the top half of their wall?
Yeah.
You're going to do the bottom half and leave the top half blank.
It's also one of those things where like, if you've never done it before and you didn't do it yourself, like you probably don't see any of the issues. But like now, because we did it, we could go in there and point out that's messed up right there. It's messed up right there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because like we bought a flipped house, and flip's gone wrong. It's like everything falls apart after being in it for however long.
Okay.
But now it's like, now that we're doing drywall and mudding and taping, we're like, there's tape on the wall there. There's tape on the wall. Just like in our bedroom, we're like, there's a seam right there in the drywall that they didn't cover up.
You realize what they
there's
did?
A bubble in the tape right there. Yeah, we're like, my wife is always just like, you can see it in this drywall. And it's just like stuff we never would have realized before. You know, it's just crazy.
I didn't realize up until painting that there's definitely like a radius to all walls. Walls aren't completely flat.
Oh,
and the term is like how plumb
yeah.
it is. It's not like flush.
Right. Yeah.
You think it would be. It's plumb.
My wife's dad helped me build a wall, and he's like, "Oh, plumb it up." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah,
I'm like,
I was like, "I've never
plumbing,
heard that
dude.
before."
We're not doing plumbing.
Yeah.
Where's the toilet at, man?
Right. It was, I don't want a bathroom.
Right? Yeah, I don't want to put a toilet here, man.
Yeah, we had to take a bathroom out of the basement to stop the flooding. So plumbing in the basement, no go.
No go.
Get in at plumb. That's a whole nother thing. This has been an eye-opening experience.
Right.
It'll be cool when it's done, though.
Construction with Collective Comics.
I don't think that's a channel that's happening anytime soon. It'd be rigging with Collective Comics.
Yeah, right? How to get by by just skinning your teeth.
Not just good, but good enough with Collective Comics.
That's the segment.
It would be a joke.
Good enough, man. But yeah, as you were saying, we were together last night.
Yeah.
And we went and saw Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yes.
Which came out the night before.
Yep. Yeah, I had to work. So we couldn't go that night. But Saturday night, we ended up seeing it.
Yeah. We try to go as early as we can. As close to opening night and getting the closest show possible.
Right. Mostly because then we can shoot earlier and have more time to edit. But
yeah.
I want to start off by saying I'd much rather watch this stuff in my house.
You started off the movie. I think we weren't even into the movie yet, and you said that.
Yeah,
I think it was like the first commercial or something.
Yeah, because there was like a AMC like enjoy your movie or something. I was like, I'd enjoy it more in my house.
Yeah,
dude, I was having a go of it for a little bit, dude. Some people like we were just chilling. We were there.
Yeah,
you know, some people walked up behind us, hit me in the head with something.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, something hit me in the head.
Happened.
I'm like, okay, they were walking by, whatever. Stuff is cool.
Right. It happens.
And then I'm a big dude, right? So I'm just trying to be comfortable in my seat. They sit down behind me, and they're just like, I don't know if they're kicking it, kneeling it, like bouncing their leg. But my chair's like, I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, we need to move, you know. So then we moved down a row, which is fine because then the railing was there. We put our feet on it, whatever. But then I sit down and the chair is broken. I almost ended up on my butt. Oh my God.
Mine was squeaking like crazy. Because I was in the chair. I think I was in the chair that was connected to the broken one that you sat in.
Oh, so yeah.
It just like, I leaned back and Nicole my girlfriend had just went to go and get like refill the pop or something like that. And then you're like, do you want to move up front? They're kind of kicking my seat. And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's go up front. I was like, the bar's there anyways, whatever.
I was in there looking like the thing bobblehead, man. I was just like bouncing around, bro. It probably wasn't that dramatic, but after like
I didn't notice
consistently of just like bouncing, I'm like, no, I'm not watching a whole movie like this.
Right. Yeah. And then I'm after we moved, I immediately realized that people sat behind us. So I kind of figured, I was like, he's not escaping it today, you know? Like,
oh, yeah, there's a whole nother story to that. But Nicole came back.
Yeah.
And then
she was like, what? Why did you move? And I was like, I tried to make it obvious, like, so like people behind us didn't start crap. And I was like, so we can put our feet on the bar.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I was like, Jake was getting kicked.
Yeah.
You know,
well, first she was walking back. She didn't know we moved. And you like reached over and like, hey, we're right here. But she didn't know it was you at first. I think you scared the crap out of her. She's like, what?
Someone was just reaching out to her like, hey.
But then we start the movie. Or the people sit behind us. And I swear to God, it sounded like they were,
I noticed it too, dude.
See, I didn't notice the chewing. Olivia noticed the chewing, and you're on the other side of me hearing the chewing. I didn't hear the chewing.
Because there's now a gap. We started off sitting next to each other, but then because of the broken chair, we couldn't sit next to each other. And I was real upset. But
bro, it sounded like those gigantic bags of like off-brand cereal. Yeah. It sounded like they were eating out of one of those. Like one piece at a time, bro. Like, I don't know if they had the biggest bag of chips in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever it was, they were eating it one piece at a time. Because every couple seconds, it was like just over and over. My wife is like, she's like, I had to turn away from them just to like get away from the chewing a little bit. Dude. I was like, I didn't hear the chewing.
That's so funny because it's the first movie that I've ever noticed the like the chewing of popcorn.
Yeah.
And it, because then once that started happening behind us, I realized the whole theater was doing it. And then I just couldn't not hear it. You know what I'm saying? So it pointed it out, and then I was like, does this happen at every movie? And then I listened, and everybody's doing it. So I'm like, oh boy.
To be fair, we usually go to like 11 o'clock showings.
Yes.
Like we'll go to like the 11 o'clock showing the Thursday before the movie comes out or whatever. And typically we're like the only ones in there, maybe one other couple, a couple other people.
It really depends on what it is.
But this time there were people.
Yeah.
And they made themselves known.
Yeah.
They were like, yo,
it was dinner time, dude.
We're here too.
It was 6:45.
Just eating filet mignon and like just making sandwiches. Everybody in that theater was a sandwich artist, bro. They were just like,
dude.
just mayonnaise.
They might as well have pulled out a George Foreman grill and just started sizzling some bacon right then and there. Dude, because you heard everything. I 100% agree with that. That's the first movie that I've noticed that. But then once she sat down, she noticed my chair starts squeaking. Every time I like lean back.
Yeah. Oh, mine squeaks. I don't know if it picks that up.
But every time I would lean back or like slightly move or like move my leg up to the bar, you'd hear it. So then I noticed that, and then I realized that there's like 6 other seats in the theater doing that as well.
Oh my god.
So then every once in a while, maybe the movie would calm down, it'd be a really dramatic part, and you would just hear from like the opposite corner just
oh man. Here's the thing. I already I like my house. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think I have a crazy big TV. I don't know what it is. It's like maybe 70, maybe less. We got it on a crazy deal like years ago. But we have a sound bar. We have a couch, obviously.
You made it. You made it your little nook. You know?
I'd rather sit there and watch a movie already. Like, even if I was in the theater by myself, I'd just rather be at my house, not paying $17 for a soda and popcorn.
Oh, gosh,
my wife got up in the middle of it and she's like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, all right. And then she's like, I don't really want to miss anything. I was like, see, at home we could pause it. We could, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I could
rewind it.
I could pause it, make a pizza, and go back and finish it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Man, so I already didn't want to, I already would rather watch movies at my house. And then that was the night that we had. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I was like, maybe we'll never go to that movie theater again. Because I think
it's that theater, 100%.
When we saw Black Adam, we went to a different theater. Mm-hmm. And I think I like that one more.
Yeah.
But it's just so much further away. You know what I mean?
There's not a new one. Where real quick, I don't know if this matters even to the listeners, but they redid the Portage IMAX.
I heard that.
If anybody's in the area in Northwest Indiana, Portage IMAX was redone. It's no longer IMAX.
Yeah, it's like one of those recliner ones now, right?
Yes, dude. And they have these seats, and the ones all the way up to the front, they're like love seats, but they're long love seats. You can it's like a big futon, and you can sit there, like your whole family can sit there with the kid on the ottoman, you know what I'm saying? It's loungeable.
See,
every single one reclines.
Now I think it's a lot more common, but when I was back in Wisconsin, I remember up in Sun Prairie, if anybody's from Wisconsin, they had just got one. That was the first one in the area, and you went, and it was big recliners, and they bring the food out to you. You order sandwiches, pizza, whatever, and that's cool. But then we got a gift card to that theater chain, whatever, and the closest one was in Chicago or Country Club Hills or something. Mm-hmm. And we went there, and all the recliners were broken.
Really?
It was bad. So I was like, okay, so I'm not going to any more of these. But it sounds like the Portage one is really nice. Other people have told me about it.
And I think it's Tuesday night. It's Tuesday nights. They do $5 movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we could have waited a little bit, went to Portage a little bit, which is a little bit farther away, and went to $2 movies.
Hey, there's some other good movies coming out, so maybe we'll go to one anyways.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's a lot of cool movies coming out, but we're talking Ant-Man Quantumania.
Ant-Man. We're done. AMC, not a sponsor, obviously.
Yeah. The other one, once I figure out, it's not Cinemark. No.
Cinemark is the first one we went to for Black Adam.
Yeah, it's something different.
I don't know what the one in Portage is.
In Portage. When I remember it, it might be right here. Yeah, it'll be right there. Maybe they want to reach out to us and sponsor because I really like their theater and I wouldn't mind that. Yeah. That'd be kind of sick.
Well, but I've never been there, so maybe we'll have to make a field trip and go see a movie, and then we'll talk about how cool it is.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ant-Man Quantumania. Before we even start, I want to get a perspective. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the other Ant-Mans?
I've seen them. Did I fall asleep during them?
So you
100%
haven't seen them.
Do I remember anything?
Well, not if you were asleep.
Not really.
How would you remember him if you were asleep?
I remember like the beginning of the... I remember seeing him do his Ant-Man thing and like, jump click.
Have you seen Loki?
Not all the way. Not...
Okay.
Yeah. No. I basically haven't really seen too much that's actually important to this movie.
Okay.
I could tell you that right now.
All right. I want to... And then we can probably start with the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. Or the MODOK in the room. The MODOK in the room right now. See, for me, I know this.
I didn't know when we were getting into it, man. I was like gonna ask. I was like, are we gonna save it? Like,
I want to get into it right away.
MODOK, okay?
Because I know this is gonna be polarizing for people. Yes. It has to be. Because for me, I know I might be like in the minority here, but this is a perfect example of totally different from the comics, but great. It's great. MODOK was great. He was great.
Oh gosh.
See, for me though, like I like the funny stuff. So like this is definitely a comedy. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't like it's not gonna be your dark superhero. Ant-Man was never gonna be the dark superhero movie. You know what I mean? So.
I didn't think that was gonna happen either. It got a little dark
when MODOK when his thing first went up. I was like, oh my
dude! Everybody laughed. Everybody laughed.
But like the more it was happening, I just like started falling in love with that character more and more. Yeah, and I thought it was such a funny like callback, especially if they're not expecting to like make MODOK like an ongoing character, but also we're in like multiverse territory, so we could also get the actual MODOK eventually.
Right.
But I thought it was so funny. It was great.
Yeah.
Just like how it was like so bad it was good. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's 100%. So when the thing came up, everybody laughed and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. The first thought that popped in my head, and I asked you at the end of the movie if you ever seen Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh no, I didn't know what you were saying because the credits were still rolling, so I couldn't hear you. We had that whole chair in between us.
Right? Yeah. The squeaky chair, just squeaking over us. Everybody's macking on popcorn. But
yeah. No, I haven't seen that.
There's a character in there that's played by George Lopez. It looks exactly the same. It's like this whole like a robot. But it's like a big head, like it's a TV screen almost.
Yeah.
And his face is just like so blown out and so big, and then it's just like these little tiny
legs.
Yeah, and that's what he walks on, and then he can like extend them almost like Dr. Octopus or something like that kind
of. Like Fantastic, Mr. Fantastic. Or just like little ribbons.
Yeah, but it's just this big circle, and then all you see is George Lopez's face, and that's immediately what I saw.
That's
I thought
funny.
I started laughing at that. The face was just kind of funny. And then I realized, look at the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty similar to the comic book.
Yeah.
As funny as it was.
There were some differences for sure. But
yes.
Like
the suit was different a little bit.
And I mean, I think MODOK has hair and, stuff like that. But... because I looked it up. I was curious. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of stuff with MODOK in it. Yeah. I haven't seen it too much. I saw a Silver Age picture.
Mm-hmm.
Legit.
Really?
I was like, that looks just like it. Like, granted, the suit was a little bit different. But I mean, I didn't care about that. Like, but when you look at it, if it was real life and that was MODOK, that's exactly what MODOK would look like. I don't think there's realistically a serious way to portray that character.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you put him in a Paul Rudd movie.
But I think when his mask thing was down, he looked kind of bad. I
thought he was cool, dude. When he was angry and got mad, I was like on his side because I was like scared because if I was on the other side, then I just didn't want to be there,
But his smile though, every time the thing went up, he's just got that cheesy smile.
Hey.
But then at the end, when she's like, "Just don't be a dick," and he's like, "I'm not a dick."
Yeah.
I was like, that's so cool. But that was.
And then you saw his naked butt. Do you ever see those? Do you remember the old '90s raisin commercials?
Kind of.
With the cartoon raisins. That's what he looked like.
Kind of. Oh man, that's probably a whole nother different type of problematic, but
right. So yeah, MODOK looked freaking hilarious.
So funny. I did think it was kind of a cool way to like have the callback to that character from the first one, and it kind of gave him like a heartwarming end. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I thought that was cool. So I brought up MODOK. What points do you want to bring up?
Besides MODOK?
No,
or
just
anything.
Movie point.
Movie point. I kind of, real quick, before we get too deep into it, did you like it?
I did. I liked it, but I mean, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be going in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they trashed Ant-Man in any way. I don't think they made him look weak but because I mean, at the end when he got huge and got mad about his daughter, he ended up starting. That was kind of like the Ant-Man from our bracket. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
I think he's always, especially the way that they have portrayed him, he's a little bit like hesitant to join in, but then when the time comes, he's like,
he finds
I'm here.
Yeah.
Other than that, like I liked the movie. Like I said, I liked the humor as long as I don't think it really. Like there were humor points and they kept doing callbacks to those humor points. I don't think at any time it really hit like that love and thunder, like you cross the line, I'm annoyed by this joke. Okay. For me.
Yeah.
It was more like Paul Rudd humor, sarcastic humor, like things like that.
I didn't mind it. I definitely didn't mind it. Usually when it first started happening, I was like, let's see how far they go. Yeah. I was like, let's see how far they go. And that was one of my first thoughts while in the theater. I was like, let's see how far they go with it. Well, I know what's going to happen because it's Paul Rudd.
That's what I kind of brought up going into it when we talked about it in the past. It's like, they're either going to clown on Ant-Man or they're going to do Ant-Man. Like, I enjoy the Ant-Man movies. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like that lighthearted, humorous comedy, like superhero. The only thing, I mean... I wouldn't even like detriment him for this, but like it was just very stereotypical, like superhero. It's like, I'm a superhero. The superhero has something happen to them. They have to get to XYZ. And now the villain comes in and he's winning, but then something happens to flip the switch. And then at the end, the heroes almost win, but then the villain comes back. And then the villain almost beats the hero, but then the hero beats the villain in the end and goes home happy ending. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And then villain comes back.
Well, yeah, in the post-credit scene, you find out something's crazy and it's not what you thought. But like it just always... And I feel like we've talked about that with like Stan Lee's heroes and stuff like that. I'm like, they all kind of hit these points and the heroes always win and you kind of always know that. And
Stan Lee had his formula to making a hero and it worked. It worked in the comics.
I think for me, like I said, I like the movie. It didn't go into Love and Thunder for me. It didn't cross that line. It wasn't corny to me as much as like She-Hulk was.
I don't think it was necessarily corny. I thought it was funny and it had humor.
Paul Rudd humor in a superhero movie, which is their Ant-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was. See, for me, I feel like it was more of a Paul Rudd movie than it was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of went to that point of saying like, are they going to clown on Ant-Man?
Yeah.
I feel like they clowned on Ant-Man a little bit, just a little bit.
I'm thinking like She-Hulk level clowning on a character. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would hope they would never do that again.
But they've done it. So they did it to Thor. And you know what I mean? I don't think it crossed those lines for me. So, it's their Ant-Man. That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if Thor, we've seen the progression of Thor. So Thor started out here, he went here, then he went to Ragnarok, and then he went Love and Thunder. And then that's where they cross the line. Like Love and Thunder, you still got me. And then you cross that line, you clowned on the character, and now who the heck is Thor at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think they did that with Ant-Man.
No.
As far as like...
Because I feel like that's also like the only Ant-Man that we know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you can't... Nothing's changed.
Yeah, there's an Avengers animated series that has Ant-Man in it. And like comics and stuff. And so if you're taking like more of like a straight edge, like... I don't know, like more buttoned up, like more serious Ant-Man, and that's what you have in your head, like that's not Marvel's Ant-Man at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as like the Ant-Man progression from 1 to 2 to 3 to like Civil War, you know, so on and so forth, they've stayed pretty much like in their lane of this is our Ant-Man, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was talking more like as long as it didn't cross that line of like... I felt like She-Hulk clowning, Love and Thunder clowning. That's more what I was talking about.
Okay. Because I felt more like throughout the movie, I was like, come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're stronger than that. Like, that's what I kept like thinking to myself.
Yeah.
Every like side fight or like mini fight scene or something like that up until the ending, I was kind of like, dude, you can come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're smarter than that. You're better than that. You know what I'm saying? So it just felt like he was confused the whole movie up until the end, which I think they were trying to portray.
Yeah,
It kind of seems that way a little bit with the story that they told with his daughter and everything. And
right. I mean, his daughter was always his weakness throughout the whole movie. Mm-hmm. You know, like if don't touch her, don't do this, and that's why he agreed to help out Kang in the first place is because he was threatening his daughter. But also like Hank Pym, I feel like he's like the brain, like the smart Ant-Man. He was Ant-Man before Scott Lang. And in this one, like he's just a thief who went to steal the suit and ended up becoming Ant-Man. He's not like the scientist. He's not that. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess, on that, you know what I mean? But I totally see what you're saying. Like especially coming off of the bracket, and us like holding him so high off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have been cool just to see him destroy stuff.
Yeah. You know, because he could.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you can get bigger than that, dude. You know, I felt like they kept him smaller. I
was actually listening. Well, they were in the quantum realm, so everything's smaller. But
but like I felt like in ratio point of view, that we've seen him get bigger.
I was actually listening to something on the way here just to see if I like missed anything, and he was actually talking about that. He said because in one of the other movies, he's like, I've reached this size. And it was in the harbor. I think it was the second Ant-Man, and he gets big and picks up a boat or something. I don't remember exactly, but in that one, that was the biggest he'd ever been. And then in Endgame, he gets bigger than that. And then in comparison to everything around him, this is the biggest that Scott Lang has ever reached.
In Quantumania?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because before
I didn't pick that up, but.
Yeah, no, it's not something from the movie. The guy I was listening to, I don't remember his name, but he was like, if you look here, he's actually about 19 people next to, and he was like breaking it down.
Okay. And I see what you're saying.
It was like, he was like picking it apart. And I was like, and it didn't even register for me, but like now that you said that, I was like, if this, because it was also like, remembering his daughter's name's Cassie, right? I think it's Cassie. Yeah. She got big, but she couldn't last very long, and then she like collapsed and needed citrus, which is a callback to him wanting oranges after he went big for the first time.
Right.
So I think he has to like build up, otherwise he's not strong at that size. So he could just go huge, but he would only be able to be that huge for 7 seconds. Yeah, whatever.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's what they're getting at is like, okay, this is the biggest he's ever been. Now he passed that. Now he's this big. So
yeah.
I mean, you kind of just want him to be like gigantic, like in Moon Knight when Khonshu and the other god are like fighting over the pyramids. But yeah, that would be cool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, that's why I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
you know, you can get bigger than that. Come on.
But also like, would they do that in an Ant-Man movie? They're gonna do that in an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to do that in like
Secret
Kang
Wars.
Dynasty or Secret Invasion.
That's
Secret
another
Wars.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, by the end of it, you know, I know we didn't say spoilers, but we probably should have said spoilers
we'll
a little
put it in
bit
the
ago.
title or something.
Right. You know, we're talking about it. We're diving in deep. Okay, so by the end of the movie, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't know. Not that I thought it was the best movie ever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or nothing like that. Is it the best Marvel movie? No, didn't say that. You know. All said and done, I felt like it was just a way to get to Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not too much of a future for Ant-Man anymore.
I think that that's kind of happening across the board. With, you know, Iron Man, and then we get an Iron Heart and Black Panther. Unfortunately, we got his sister and maybe his kid down the line.
Yeah.
And I don't remember off the top of my head who else, but they're kind of like phasing out all these like people who have been around a while, and we're starting to get new versions of themselves moving forward. I think, you know, I think we're probably gonna get some kind of version of a different Thor. I think Chris Hemsworth might be on his way out, depending on how they treat Thor moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like we're kind of in a weird like state of like passing the torch almost. You know what I mean? It kind of seems like we're passing the torch, and Captain America and Falcon took over. You know, just stuff like that. In the Hawkeye show, I haven't watched Hawkeye yet, but I know Haley, whatever her name is, she's a singer, Stein, whatever. She was like his like young apprentice kind of thing, you know. So it is kind of weird that we're in like this weird like passing the torch time, but I also think like that's just kind of what Marvel's been doing too. Is like I feel like it's always been that way. Like go back and look at like other than Civil War, obviously. Like look at a Captain America movie. Like they're pretty insignificant at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like the Iron Man movies are pretty insignificant.
The Iron Man movies.
I think like moving forward, like they kind of built everything off the back of it, but like once you kind of got into Avengers, it's like Iron Man 3 wasn't really like
necessary
universe changing. You know what I mean? It's just another Iron Man movie.
I see what you're
other
saying.
than like the Spider-Man movies, like the multiverse stuff is going crazy in the Spider-Man movies. You know what I mean? So,
Edge of the Spider-Verse and stuff coming out.
But like No Way Home and Homecoming and those like when Mysterio and they kind of opened the whole portal and then when in the other one where they brought the villains from all the other universes and created the rip in time, and like I feel like the Spider-Man movies are very critical to like the whole storyline.
Yeah.
But almost every other movie, like solo movie, is like you could probably skip it, watch the next Avengers thing and be fine. You might not know who the characters are, but you'll figure it out. But
I think it's just kind of something that we kind of have to start getting used to as like the viewer. You know what I'm saying? Because like not everything can be life changing and not everything can be universe changing. And I feel like that's what most people are now expecting.
Yeah, I mean,
because like when you go back, you know, you go back to Iron Man 1.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I wouldn't say universe changing, but universe setting.
Yeah, yeah.
Iron Man 2, leading up all the way up until Avengers, the first one, then universe changing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like those are important building blocks to that point. So I feel like those are always kind of going to be the staple and the high horse that people are expecting. And not every movie is going to get that way. Not every movie is going to be like that. And now that you're saying it, I guess that we are starting to see that kind of pattern because that's what they started doing, like you said, with Thor. Yeah. And now it's kind of, you know, is Thor going to necessarily be all that important anymore up until you need him for King in Black?
Right, yeah.
Something weird.
I mean, look at, realistically, the season of Loki was more critical in this whole universe and storyline than most of the solo movies in the last 10 years. You know
That's
what
what I'm seeing more and more of is everything tying into Loki. And I'm like, I don't even think that, I mean, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure a lot of people watched it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people, it's like their favorite Marvel show ever.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
It wasn't my favorite. I've said that before on the podcast.
Yeah.
It is a good show. Great.
See, I think it's just because for some reason, I don't see it that much on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, people talking about it, posting about it. And people that I know that are into comics and very much into this kind of stuff don't really talk about it.
Right.
You know, as far as me knowing them in person and stuff like that, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do and love it, like you said, you know, but I think it's just at least my surroundings that I'm just like,
I also know like
I need to watch it.
I was listening to like Variant podcasts and they were like praising Loki and talking about how much better Loki was than Moon Knight and how much better Loki. They kind of like used Loki as like their pillar for a long time, like, but compare it to Loki kind of thing. You know what I mean? And everybody liked Loki. Like I said, great show. Like everything looked great. There were definitely key elements and like I definitely wasn't bored watching it, but at the end I was like, all right, you know.
Right.
But Loki season 2 is supposed to be coming, and now with all this Kang stuff, and because Kang originally came up in Loki, so now going into Loki season 2, I don't know the exact date, but who knows what's going to happen? Because in the second post-credit scene, Loki and Mobius were there. So we'll see.
Oh, okay.
We'll see what happens.
That's going to be interesting. So what you're saying is that Loki season 2 is really Kang season 1.
It could be. Yeah, I don't know. Well, well, you haven't seen Loki, so I don't know if you want spoilers, but
I mean, I'll take them now.
In Loki, basically Loki ends up getting caught and taken to like the central hub. I don't remember names of it anymore, but it's like the central hub of the universes. And Mobius, Owen Wilson, Owen Wilson's character is like kind of like his officer in charge of him, and he takes him whatever. But they end up finding out like Loki wasn't supposed to do something that Loki did, so they captured him to like keep the main timeline going. And because of this, then you get different timelines, and the timeline will start to branch off if people don't stick to it. So their job is to like go eliminate that issue.
Okay.
But now we got this where like all of the Kangs are together, and this wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to happen. So, I mean, I don't know what Loki season 2 is, but I'm assuming it's going to have to do with universe jumping and timeline hopping and all those things, you know, especially with this big event happening.
Yeah. Is it going to be before or after Ant-Man in timeline now?
I mean, does it really matter? Because they're in charge of all timelines, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
So
dang, you see what they did there? Created that loophole so we can't even ask that question no more. Right. They're like, well, there's your answer.
Well, that's one thing that I had an issue. That's one thing I have an issue with all this stuff. Is like, like I think it's
an easy way out.
I think it's like X-Men Days Future Past or something, where Wolverine goes back in time to erase everything that happened, to basically hard reset everything, the multiverse, and Marvel and DC. It's just like, I understand it happens in the books and it does this, but it's just your way of being like, we ran out of ideas, let's reset some stuff, come up with new ideas, and then we'll be like, oh, it's just a different universe, and if something that happens that we didn't like doesn't receive well, then we'll be like, yeah, that's not this universe, that's the other universe.
Yeah, or somebody went back in time and changed it.
Yeah.
And make it a 15-minute part of the movie.
But also, like, with the quantity of things that they're putting out, it's bound to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. That goes back to, like, what you were saying earlier with, like, people aren't really talking about Loki. It's like, look at the amount of stuff we've seen since Loki. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, nobody's going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
Especially if it's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you're just hopping into, I think it'd be pretty far stretch for somebody to just be hopping into the MCU and the Marvel universe.
Right.
But I mean, people do, you know, I'm sure like.
But I don't think it's unlikely to be like a person who really liked Marvel and then fell off because of everything that's been happening.
That's me.
And now coming back in. Right. So now you have to kind of piece everything back together. And you know what I mean? So it's not that unlikely for that to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and with the abundance of things and people being unhappy with things, like we're talking about everybody's talking about what they're unhappy with.
Exactly.
People aren't going to be like, yeah, but Loki was really good and this and that. I mean, I feel like we do it, or maybe I do it. We do it.
We try to do it as much as we can.
Like I try to talk about like, yeah, She-Hulk was bad, but right before that we got Moon Knight. Like it's still a lot. Like things are happening, you know?
Yeah.
But even going back to
but
Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
Like we talked about how good that was, but again, it was really just a way for them to introduce Namor, and they introduced a new Black Panther, you know what I mean? And it's another solo movie. So at the end of the day, like as good as people think Black Panther is, it was really the same as Ant-Man. You know what I mean?
It was a rewrite to get to a certain point. Right. It was that middle movie. But I mean, what can you do with that one? You know, I feel like that one has a pretty good excuse.
But we're also at the end of the day, we are on our way to those movies.
Yeah.
They have to do something to get all these characters involved.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Man. Like you were just saying, that's all people talk about is how much they didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't hear I like this so much.
Yeah.
Other than when we try to talk about it, you know, or trying to listen to somebody's opinion on YouTube.
Right.
Or something like that. You know, that's the only time I see it. That's the only time I hear it is when I'm kind of searching for it.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there definitely are people out there talking about how good things are, but it's also the headlines that you see everywhere. It's like, this sucked. Chris Hemsworth hates Taika Waititi now. It's like, does he hate him?
That's
like,
how we
really?
Yeah, that's how we digest things, and everything's clickbait.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything's clickbait, and that's the kind of almost what we've been trained to digest.
Right.
Is negative. We don't digest the positive.
Mm-hmm.
We don't digest positivity very well as society, I feel like.
I mean, we dwell on the negative. That's
100%.
Like the human way, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the thing that I've talked about a million times on this podcast is like when I started going to movies and watching shows with no expectations, because like I already like get irritated, and like especially back when I'd be like, if this doesn't happen in this movie, I hate it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna go in with that attitude anymore because I'm just gonna hate everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I try to go in more positive, and I did think it was interesting because now that we've been doing this podcast, we saw Black Adam, we saw Wakanda Forever, and we've seen Ant-Man, and we've done reviews on them, and they've all been so different. Like
100%.
Like
polar opposite.
Yeah, like
every
three
time.
corners of a spectrum, you know? So like Black Adam was your action movie. Like this was like your superhero comedy, like lighthearted storytelling, stereotypical superhero story. And then Wakanda Forever was like, that was its own beast. Like it was so emotional. And
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That one grabbed you by your heartstrings, you know?
But I have one other thing I wanted to talk about, unless you have another thing to cover on the movie. I want to talk. I'm going to save it for last. Was there anything else that stood out to you?
Other than, I don't know. I got to go back and watch, especially Loki now. You know, that's probably what I'm going to do tonight. That's on my to-do list for tonight is to start Loki.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like, especially after watching Ant-Man last night, things will start kind of coming together and piecing together.
Right.
We'll see where Kang falls into play a little bit more. Other than the fact that it was a Paul Rudd movie.
Yeah.
I expected it very much to be a Paul Rudd movie.
Right, yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be Iron Man or Spider-Man or anything crazy.
Yeah, it's not going to be a dark DC film.
Yeah, I did wish he was a little bit stronger, faster through the movie, and got that anger out a little quicker and could fight a little better or something. That
brings up another point. Yeah,
but like that's really it. That's all I really had is that I wanted more action out of it. I felt like there could have been more action out of it, and I felt like you had said at a certain point that he was almost kind of holding back, or he would be a little bit of afraid to engage and things like that. Things that make him human.
Well, that's like when he first teamed up with Captain America, he basically asked for his autograph. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah. And
because he was just like
there was a meme on that. That's why
he was just like a fan of this stuff, and then ended up becoming a superhero. You know what I mean? So he's totally.
And I dig the story. I dig the story. I want to see Paul Rudd kind of be a bad A though.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know what I'm saying? Like I want the comedy there, but I want to see him be a bad A.
Yeah.
And I feel like no matter what, I mean, when the helmet's on and you can't see his face, bad A.
Oh yeah.
Second you can see his face, take it away. You know, like that's just how it is for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know if it's just because like I've seen so many of his other movies, and every time I see his face, it's just like, 40-year-old virgin. You know what I'm saying?
That's the one you went to.
You know what I'm saying though?
I was thinking at least like I love you, man.
Yeah, that one too. You know, there's a lot of them.
But I think he's always gonna be like the underdog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I said, he was never like destined to be a superhero. You know, he stumbled into it. Like nobody even knows who he is. They're like, "Thank you, Spider-Man," and they're like, Kang is like, "Are you the one with the hammer?" He's like, nobody knows who he is, and he's like, "But I'm an Avenger."
Yeah,
you know,
and then
like
he's like walking around town like he's like hot stuff, picking up his coffee.
Right.
Everybody's turning, looking at him. He's like, "Yep."
It was funny though, because at the beginning of the movie, they give him free coffee, and he's like, "Thank you," and they're like, "Yeah, Spider-Man, have a good day."
Yeah, and then he like stops and pauses, and he's like, "Oh crap!"
And then at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh, you're the Ant-Man, you're the bug guy, you're that one.
You're the bug. You're the bug."
$12 for your coffee.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man gets free coffee, but Ant-Man doesn't.
Right.
That brought up another point though. It's like, how strong is Kang?
That's
like
what I don't know either.
I'm not huge on Kang, but I was watching that movie thinking like, if I watched this before the bracket and he was in the bracket, probably would have won.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's Magneto, but can control things besides metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I don't know very, very much.
There's also so many versions of Kang, which we're gonna get into in the Kang Dynasty. So like this is Kang the Conqueror, and then there's Kang. There's so many different Kangs. So we'll see. Jonathan Majors though did great, especially at the end when you see him being all those different Kangs and oh wow, he's like he was like so many different people, and he did it well, I think, and I'm excited to see him do more.
Yeah, there was a Kang in there that looked like what's that movie with Will Smith with the blue like ogre type of guy, Brink.
Oh yeah.
You ever see that movie?
Oh, that's what I was wondering if that was like a Skrull or something.
I didn't know.
Thought maybe it was like a hidden Skrull in there to because isn't it the Skrulls? This is where I always get confused between the Skrulls and the Kree. I don't know. Anyways, I think it's the Skrulls that basically shapeshift, and they're like in Secret Invasion. I only read a few issues of Secret Invasion, but basically you find out one of the Avengers has been a Skrull the whole time, and they're trying to invade the Earth, and it's this whole thing. And I thought I saw one in the end credit scene when all of the Kangs were there. I thought I might have seen a Skrull, so it's... Anyways, that's a whole nother...
I don't know, man. Now we're getting deep. We're getting deep into the multiverse.
Yeah.
So, Quantumania.
The one thing I wanted to end on was just like, I really enjoyed how this movie looked.
Yeah.
It was like obviously Marvel, but it almost felt like you were in Star Wars going to different planets.
That was one other thing I wanted to say.
But also like kind of Destiny. I don't know if you've ever played Destiny.
Yes.
I was like, when they went out and saw Bill Murray, I was like, this is like the area from Destiny, basically. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this is crazy.
When that was happening, dude, okay, so first all those things came out, and I was like, oh, those are like Jawas from Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and that's kind of what they look like. And you could tell that that's where they pull inspiration from. Not knocking them for it, because that's great.
Even the thing that they gave Wasp to wear with the thing on, like the goggles, and I was like, that's straight out of Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm like, this looks like Disney, Star Wars. So. And then that goes to the scene where they're kind of like in the desert area. So, and then all these guys start running at them and start fighting them, and all these on all these like gnarly cars and everything, and I was like, oh, Mad Max.
Yeah.
I was like, Mad Max meets Star Wars. Like that's what I was thinking during that point. So it was kind of like all these like sci-fi ish.
Yeah,
movies.
I mean it was crazy too when like Kang looked down and you saw his armies.
Yeah,
it's like those are all the stormtroopers.
Yeah,
it was crazy, and it's funny to me too because like I was like thinking like everybody's complained about like Marvel's CG and how things don't look real. I'm like, none of this is real. How are you to say like it doesn't look good?
Yeah.
Like do you know what? The thing that Bill Murray was eating, like the little thing, and then he throws the little disc back and it gets huge.
Yeah.
Or like the guy with no holes that they're drinking his ooze. Like
no holes.
How do you know what that's supposed to look like?
How many holes do you have?
He has 7.
He sits there, and then he like sits there and counts after he answers. Oh my god, that was the humor that I loved.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't have holes.
and then Chidi from The Good Place. If nobody's seen The Good Place, you have to see The Good Place. But the dude with the glowing head that could read people's minds, he's from The Good Place, and he was just like, stop thinking that, please stop thinking that. I was like, oh my
That's
god,
funny. Yeah, he's like, people are disgusting.
Yeah.
He's like, I really wish I couldn't read people's minds because
Right.
you guys are disgusting.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that was one of my thoughts. Is like, I think this looks so cool. I'm also into like the colorful, like fake, like not real, like designs and stuff like that. Like
things you can only imagine. You
like
know, like
the
things that
broccoli
aren't
guy.
real.
Oh my goodness! Like
that was funny.
that
was
guy looks like broccoli. Literally broccoli.
that guy looks like broccoli. They're just talking, dude,
Yeah.
going crazy. That it was a crazy cool movie. I definitely I totally get what you're saying. I like the aesthetic. It seemed like there was, obviously quantum for 4 different levels or 4 different like elements to this realm or multiverse.
Yeah,
that
I
they're
mean,
in.
yeah.
I'm still a little confused on exactly where it's at, what it is. You know what I'm saying?
If I'm not mistaken, the quantum realm is basically if you shrink down and you just keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, it's like essentially like this realm inside of, I don't know. Like that's like when they're going in, they basically have to keep shrinking to get into it.
Okay.
So that's what happened with MODOK when he got sent to the quantum realm. His proportions didn't shrink and expand evenly, so that's their excuse for him having a huge head and tiny legs and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like what it is specifically, I would have to go back and watch some stuff.
Yeah, because that's where I'm at. Because they're like, this is the multiverse, but then like wasn't. Later in the movie, they said that about somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it was I'm trying to remember. It was a Kang. It was at the end. It was one of the Kangs.
yeah. Well, the Kangs.
I think it was the ending. One of the ending scenes.
Yeah.
The first one.
So the Kangs, those are all Kangs from different universes.
Yeah.
So that's
there's like 4 at the end. Remember that?
Yeah.
It almost reminded me of like the wizard scene from Black Adam.
Where like I think that is from Loki, if I'm not mistaken. There were 3 like different Kangs in Loki, and like Kang the Conqueror was the one that was exiled for not having like aligned ideas, and it's like there's a lot more to that story.
Right.
But without recently seeing Loki and like researching into it, I couldn't even tell you exactly anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I can kind of piece bits of it together, but beyond that, I'd have to rewatch so many things to, figure it out. And there's other things that are going to make more sense now. It's like, oh, that's this and that's this. And,
Right.
There's callbacks in the whole movie with the citrus stuff and Hulk turning him into a baby. And then at one point, didn't Cassie like grab somebody and swing them over the head and like smash them on both sides?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was like a callback to like the first
Hulk
Avengers
with Loki.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great.
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was a stepping stone movie for sure.
Yeah.
A Paul Rudd movie for sure. I really enjoyed it. I don't really have anything crazy bad to say about it.
Yeah.
You know, I know that this is supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, the last movie that we have in line before Marvel says that they're not, you know, like, remember how they released about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, they released that statement saying, like, we hear you guys, we're rethinking our strategy.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see immediate reactions to that just because so many things are in the works already.
That's what I'm saying. So I think we're coming up to one of the last few things. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's this or Guardians of the Galaxy that is going to be.
Guardians is done.
Well, those are obviously done, but those are supposed to be some of the last stuff, and then it's all new from when they made the promise.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, like, fresh start. That's what I'm really waiting for. We're at the tail end right before a fresh start.
That's what I'm saying, though. I don't know if it's going to be, like, a cut and dry line. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure, like, scenes of Ironheart are done. Like, we already seen, like, sneak peeks of Ironheart. Like, you know what I mean?
But they've also released it a couple months ago, and I'm sure had a month
I think we're going to
see...
I think we're going to see more, like editing, like cutting room floor changes until they're like moving forward. This is this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't think it's going to be like a day and night. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is over. Expect a new Marvel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm not necessarily saying that, but I know that we're going to be able to notice something. For sure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm saying is that, like, we're getting there. We're getting there into the new ish Marvel to where hopefully
we'll see too, because like Guardians was James Gunn, so that's already gonna feel like all the other Guardians. You know, I personally think like Ant-Man was very like much in lane with all the other Ant-Men. Like I said, Ant-Mans.
You're right.
So I think they're doing okay with these few. I hope they just stay away from things like She-Hulk. Not stay away from the character, but like don't think that's a good idea anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stop clowning on them. You know, at a certain point. Like,
and I think we'll see too, because I know they're like, we want quality over quantity, but then like in 1 year we're gonna get like Daredevil, Echo, like we're gonna get a bunch of stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Here we go.
But I think overall, movie was good. 1 out of 10. What do you rate it?
You rated a 1 out of 10?
No, 1 out of 10. What do you rate it?
Oh, what do I rate
1 to
it?
10.
If a 5 is okay, I give it a 6.5.
Okay.
You know, I liked it. I liked it a little more than I thought I was going to.
See, I never know what to think you're gonna think about Marvel stuff, because I feel like you almost go in like wanting to hate it, but then you're also like, well, I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? Because you go in with such low expectations. You're like, I thought it was going to be a -7, and it was a 6.
Yeah, you seriously.
But if
not gonna lie,
if you went in thinking it was going to be a 10, you're going to be like, that was a 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know,
that's that no expectations stuff.
I've learned how to prepare myself for Marvel.
Yeah. I was thinking like 7, 6, 7.
There we go. So we're right there.
As far as like I would watch this again. Like I would watch.
I have to watch.
I would watch Ant-Man again for sure. But my low rating comes from just not being like original. But at the same time, it's like you said, it was a stepping stone movie.
Yeah.
They're not going to make any huge changes other than the ones that were announced. Like we knew we were getting Kang.
Yeah.
We knew they were going to Quantum Realm. You know, like we knew those things.
You know, this is one of those movies, you know, would I go and see it again right now? No.
Yeah.
Black Adam, yeah, I did that with. You know.
Yeah.
There's like you said, I don't know if it's Marvel. I feel like it's just the last couple of years of Marvel.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's been so up and down.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
You know, really, I don't want to talk bad.
Yeah.
Over here, you know, and be like, oh, just because of She-Hulk, you know, and stuff like that, because that's really what it comes down to, at least for me at this point in time, is that like we're coming off some hot trash, and like, you know, we thought you know, going into She-Hulk, we thought we had trash, you know, and then we really got trash.
Yeah.
And
I think it's funny too, because like, I've talked to a couple people about our podcast that have listened to it, and they're like, I don't know if we'd get along. I'm a DC guy and you're a Marvel guy. I'm like, I'm not a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
It's just Javier is so DC that I just sound like a Marvel guy. That's so funny. I like everything.
Oh gosh.
I'm DC, Marvel, Image, whatever.
Right.
But he just makes me sound like a Marvel guy. Like it's not that I don't like DC. I love DC.
Everybody loves DC, man. That's where it's at. Everybody loves Marvel too. There's I can't really, you know, when it comes down to if I have a favorite between the two, I can't pick.
Yeah.
Realistically, you know what I'm saying? DC has Batman.
Yeah.
Marvel has Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
I love the both of them.
I think it's I say this and I still agree with it. Granted, I will expand a little bit more after I'm done. When it comes to like villains, I'm all like DC 100%. When it comes to heroes, I'm quite a bit more into Marvel.
Yeah.
That being said, like the Bat family I love.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like super attached to Spider-Man. I'm not super attached to the Flash. I'm not super attached to Cyborg or, you know, as far as that goes. But I mean,
my childhood is more attached to Spider-Man than anything.
Right.
But since Miles is such a big thing now, I've, as an adult, fallen in love with Spider-Man again.
But I mean, I'm also thinking like Deadpool, that's Marvel. Like, I almost think about like a hero outside of the Bat family and Superman, obviously. But like, if I think of a hero, I'm like, oh, that's Marvel. Oh, that's Marvel too. That's Marvel.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then when we did the Marvel villains episode, it was already like a stretch to think of Marvel villains other than like anti-heroes or like villains that are actually heroes, like Hulk being mad or, you know, stuff like that.
Mad Hulk.
Even Magneto was a villain, but he kind of bounced that line back and forth where like him and Professor X were friends and then they split and he was the villain. Mm-hmm. But then he came back to the hero side for a while. And then depending on what story you get, he's a villain again. And, you know, it's like Whiplash, Sandman, like some Spider-Man villains, like Sandman and, you know, Electro and stuff. But even them,
you really like Kingpin too.
Yeah,
you're a big Kingpin fan.
Yeah,
Kingpin's seeing more and more heat now. I think like more and more spotlight.
I think that's even due to like the Daredevil thing coming back. Mm-hmm. He was in Hawkeye, stuff like that. But even as far as like Spider-Man villains, like I don't really know beyond them being Spider-Man villains. It's like don't know anything about them. You know what I mean? Right. It's like cool, but then it's like Joker. I can talk about Joker. I can talk about Scarecrow. I can talk about Poison Ivy. Harley Quinn,
yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
You know, but yeah, I think overall, that's the wrap up for Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, we got a solid, what I say, 6.5, and you said 7.
Yeah,
so we got a 6.75 out of 10.
That average is hard to figure out. So
right.
Math.
I think that's actually where it meets in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only 2 people. Yeah.
Well, you know, the 7.5, whatever.
Anyways, well, if you multiply them and then you divide by the number of numbers, and
right. You know, that wraps up the review. You know.
Yeah. Let's get into the pull list.
Let's go.
Explosions.
We're diving on into our pull list to wrap up this week's podcast, man. What's on your pull list this week, man?
This week, we're starting with Titans United Blood Pact number 6. I like Titan stuff. Titan stuff is always cool to me. I don't know what's really going on in the story too much, but it sounds like the Titans are turned fugitives, and I could be completely misunderstanding this whole synopsis, but we are going to see the Titans fight Brother Blood and Dark Daughter in this one for the final time.
Ooh.
So it could get spicy.
Yeah, sounds like it, man. There we go. Got any variants on this one?
We have a couple variants.
Just a couple
variants.
C and D.
Yeah.
And where's B at? Don't know.
B. Yeah. It's an AB variant conversation.
Let's see your way out of it. Oh.
Yes.
All right. Book number 2 on the poll list. We're getting into Deceased, War of the Undead Gods. Number 6. Got the chair squeaking.
Are we at the movie theater?
Right. Dude, I did not know that Deceased was coming back.
I didn't either.
I didn't know. We're already on issue number 6 of this War of the Undead Gods.
So it came back.
Yeah, it came back and came out swinging and flew right under my radar, and I had no idea Deceased was coming back. So I'm stoked on those. They make for some of the sickest covers that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I collected, I have some of the Wonder Woman ones. We had the homie Jonatron send us that the Deceased Batman.
Yes.
Which is super cool. It was a 9.8 yellow label, which was super awesome. Yeah, I've been a big fan of Deceased recently, and for this to just fly under my radar and fly under my nose like that, I'm a little bit upset that I didn't know, dude.
Yeah.
You know, because now it's I don't know how hard it's gonna be to find 1 through 5.
Right.
And you know me, I have to just start going in on it.
Yeah. We did open that Deceased like surprise box or whatever too.
We did.
Yeah.
There's the Joker.
Oh yeah, the Joker.
We got the Joker back there. But yeah, I'm real surprised for this to not hear about anything about this up until this point right here. We were at a convention the other day, and somebody started talking to me. I was talking to some guy about Deceased just the first time it came out.
Right.
You know, and nobody said nothing about this other one that is currently coming out, you know, so I don't know. People need to start talking about it because I'm not hearing about it, you know, so.
Specifically to me.
Yeah, it's specifically, you know, because there's no reason I should have not heard about it. Somebody should have spoken up and said something, and I'm not taking the blame for this one.
Yeah. It's not my fault I don't know things.
It's not at all. We're going to have 32 pages on this one, and probably retail for a cover price of that $5.99. I think it's $5.99. It could be $4.99. The screenshot that I have of my pull list is actually kind of cut off right there, so I don't know 100% the price, but wouldn't surprise me for a 32
DC's been
page
going
book.
up a little bit with their bigger names and stuff too, so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
They know what they got.
Third book on the list is Punisher War Journal, base number 1. So I'm watching Punisher right now. I'm finishing up the 2nd season, and I just need a little bit more Punisher in my life. So I'm putting Punisher right here on our pull list. This is going to follow Frank Castle coming back from war. You know, he's a father, he's a dad, he's a husband, he's a soldier. And, you know, coming back from war, especially some of the things that the Punisher saw in war, is not easy to deal with coming back from that and coming back into the real world, you know? So I think it kind of, I think it follows him on his struggles, like integrating back into the real world, and maybe he doesn't integrate well. We'll have to see.
They actually did Punisher War Journal back in the 90s, 80s when... I have one, and I want to say the cover price on it was $150 or something. Yeah, so I believe that's 90s, 93-ish.
I think, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think most of the Punisher stuff they do now is war journals.
Yeah.
There's just like this war journal, that war journal, and different war journal series and things like that. I don't know if there's like a Punisher solo series outside of that. But I know like... After he got announced and brought up and brought into the Marvel Universe, they kind of just put him into war journals and kind of left him there, as far as I know.
Seems that way.
Because I know they did like Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, And I think after that, it was all war journals after that. So.
Probably. It sounds to be that way. The War Journal of the 90s was one of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
Lots of cameos, lots of special appearances. There was, I think, issue number 4, getting into it, had a sick Wolverine cover. I have it somewhere. I have to find it. I know it's in one of these boxes.
Yeah.
So many boxes are on here now. But I feel like lots of cool potential here, especially with the whole... There's a lot of Wolverine coming out. There's a lot of Deadpool coming out. There's some cool stuff they can do.
Now that I think about it, now that I just said everything I said, I think that I was wrong. Because I think we were looking at a Punisher slab, but it was a 9.6, so I got the Daredevil slab instead. Wasn't it a Punisher? But it was from like 2018. So there have been like little series off.
Probably.
I know a lot of it's been war journals.
Mm-hmm. It could have been like a one shot or just like a mini run or something.
Every
like
once
that.
in a while, there's just more war journals. There's a war journal here. There's a war journal coming out in a few weeks or whatever. So
yeah,
I know a lot of it's revolving around war journal stuff.
Right.
But I don't know how the storylines are going outside of that and how many there are.
Right. We'll see. We'll find out as we get them.
Yes.
Before we dive into the last book on the list, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on so you guys don't miss out on any podcast, videos, pull lists, none of it.
It's going to be like a little pop-up thing down here.
Yeah, it should be popping up right there. So hit that subscribe button, guys. It really does help us out. So we're going to dive in to the last book on the list, diving into Batman One Bad Day, Clayface. Clayface issue number 1.
Yes.
They're obviously all issue number 1s. They're just one shots.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I always say issue number 1 at the end of these. But we're getting into the Clayface edition. This one interests me a little bit because I actually don't know very much about Clayface other than what I've actually seen in the Harley Quinn animated series.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit before we started shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So I don't know very much aside from that. It seems like we pretty much got all we need to in Harley Quinn.
In animated. I think it's like a exaggerated version of him. But yeah.
It's
like,
comedic. You know,
yeah.
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like Adult Swim humor, you know.
Right.
So
I feel like maybe that it goes for like, you know, in all the Batman, I don't think Clayface is a huge Batman villain.
Mm-mm.
He's kind of a staple, but not like not as big as the Joker, or Scarecrow, Riddler, things like that. But then also like the Batman movies in like the 70s, you know, how easy was it to make somebody like Clayface look good? You know what I mean?
Right.
What would we have gotten if we got a Clayface? You know?
Yeah.
So
an old Greg looking thing.
Yeah. So I mean, the Batman. We could get a cool Clayface now. Like, that would be cool.
It'd be all CG, but it would be definitely really, really cool. We're kind of, I guess, playing off of the origin story.
I think
in this issue. Yeah. Going back to his roots of wanting to be an actor before he turned into this clay abomination monster thing. He's going back to his roots, moving to Los Angeles to try and become an actor now. That's the story that we're following in this One Bad Day. And you know, he's figuring out that a lot of places are just like Gotham City, apparently.
Yeah, just dark and people are horrible and the
you know, people always say the grass is greener on the other side, and you know, it just depends on what side you're standing on.
Yeah,
you know, that's always how it looks.
I don't think all people are horrible. I just want to clarify that. I think it does break that down a little bit in the synopsis. That's why I said it. But
yeah, you know,
actually, if you're listening right now, no, I'm just kidding.
DC said it, not me.
Yeah.
DC Comics.
You're a horrible person if you're listening to this right now.
Right.
There's got to be some kind of special kind of person that listens to our podcast this far.
Right. But you know, we're gonna have these are pretty big books. We get 40 to 50 pages on this one. They're usually around that $6.99 price, so a little bit up there. Sometimes I've seen them hit $8 to $10.
I'd imagine we're getting that classic orange cover variant, like all the other ones, and some other cool variants that come with the One Bad Day stuff.
Oh yeah. Especially they kind of got their own little trade dress going for it, which is pretty neat for the main covers. So I dig them. I think these are the new versions of like the Killing Joke and what would be the modern day Killing Joke for if we had those for each villain. So here we go. I'm down for it.
Oh, yeah.
This one seems a little funny. This one seems a little weird.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know too much about Clayface, but I'm here to learn and I'm here along for this ride.
Yes. That being said, be sure to check out the links in the description for things like free money when you use our link to sign up on Whatnot. Get a free $10 when you use that link. Get 10% off your jitterless energy when you visit Dubby.gg. Code Collective Comics at checkout. And until next time, this has been
Collective Comics.
Wait for it. Fart. Boom. That's a fart, motherfucker. God. That's a fart. Oh my God. Look at him. Crop dusting across your open houses. It's a disgrace. He farted in my open house. You sure did.